Now, 3 years into President Tinubu's administration, the battle for Nigeria's political future is already underway. The president and his supporters argue that difficult but necessary reforms are beginning to yield results. A more stable exchange rate, rising state revenues, renewed investor confidence, a stronger stock market, and major investments in infrastructure, agriculture, and education. The opposition, however, sees a very different picture, one of rising hardship, deepening poverty, stubborn inflation, and persistent insecurity. At the same time, the opposition itself appears to be undergoing a dramatic realignment. What was once presented as a united coalition determined to challenge the APC in 2027 is now showing signs of strain, with disagreements, defections, and competing presidential ambitions raising questions about whether it can remain a credible alternative. Well, into that debate has stepped Daniel Bwala, special advisor to the president on media and policy communication. In a strongly worded intervention, he suggested that recent criticisms and political maneuvers within the opposition have exposed deeper contradictions and weaknesses, arguing that the choice before Nigerians in 2027 is becoming increasingly clear. So tonight, as the Tinubu administration marks its third anniversary, we take stock. Has the president earned a second term based on performance? Are the economic sacrifices beginning to produce tangible gains? And is the opposition offering Nigerians a compelling alternative, or merely proving the president's case that he remains, as his supporters insist, the strongest political option on the table? And Daniel Bwala joins me now in the studio. Good to see you, Daniel.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Good evening.
How was the Chelsea match?
Actually, Chelsea didn't play the match, but Chelsea's aspiration is for Arsenal to lose the Champions League. So it's as good as saying we won the Champions League.
I like that.
Because Paris is blue,
yes,
PSG is blue, Chelsea is blue, London is blue.
Yeah, but, well, you know, that's a story for another day. Let's leap into it with both feet, because after 3 years of the Tinubu government, the administration, as I mentioned, says the fundamentals are improving, the exchange rate has stabilized, state revenues, and so on and so forth. But if the economy is doing so well, why are so many Nigerians still struggling to see it in their daily lives?
The answer is simply population and resources. The population is over 230 million. The resources we have, however, the increased revenue is not enough to match with the population and deficit in terms of the infrastructure. So growth will, however, will have to be slow, but it will be slow, steady, and consistent. That is what we take pride in.
Right. Well, President Tinubu argues that he inherited, and perhaps he's right, a deeply troubled economy,
Right.
And had to take painful decisions. But it's 3 years hence. What would you point to as the single most tangible, I'm not saying achievement, improvement that an ordinary Nigerian can actually feel, rather than simply reading about it in economic reports and from people like you
Right.
saying that things have improved?
Actually, everything you said in your prelude or in the monologue are tangible, they are reflective, and they're experience-based. Because, for example, when you talk about the increased revenue, the effect of that increased revenue is the increased allocation to states, which has resulted in state administering, and which has also resulted in the impact on the people. So
What
the
kind
direct,
of impact?
so the increased revenue is directly proportional to the positive effect that we see in states because of the increased
I
revenue.
don't understand what you're saying. If you give more money to governors,
Right.
how does that necessarily, in a country as spectacularly corrupt as Nigeria, how does it translate into somebody's capacity to buy food in the market?
So, for example, there are states, because this is an individual experience based state by state basis.
Right.
And first of all, the money is not to the governors, the money is to the states.
Yeah, but the governors have control of them.
Yes, but the point to be made is that the money is to the states.
Well,
the
that's just
governors,
semantics.
no, it's a fact. The governors are just the chief accounting officers of the state. There is an accountant in this television house. There's chief accountant here, but he doesn't own the money. Now, but there are states you can point at tangible result of their policies dealing with, for example, hunger, by the provision of food and agricultural materials, even by the boosting of some of the things that the agricultural...
Well, the most successful of those states is not an APC state, is it? I mean, the one everybody talks about is Abia State.
No, I don't think, first of all, I appreciate the fact that Abia is doing a lot in his state. But I can tell you that for me, based on stats and facts on ground, Enugu far outweighed Abia in terms of tangible infrastructural
you cannot
development.
attribute what Enugu has done. I mean, Enugu's only been an APC state, and I'm from Enugu State.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I thought you were from Anambra.
No. It's only been an APC state for a few months, really.
But it's still an APC state at the moment.
Yeah, but you can't take credit for something that you didn't have a hand in creating.
No, I only respond to that direct question of Abia by countering it with Enugu. But that is not to say that Enugu is the state that we are putting forward. Let me give you an example of Lagos. I'm sure you start talking about infrastructure and the rest. Wow. What Lagos has achieved, even dealing with infrastructure, you know, the rail lines, dealing with agriculture, look at the food production, dealing with security, dealing with sanity of the state. There are quite a number of things you can mention.
Lagos is an island.
Come to Borno State.
Lagos is an island.
But come to Borno, you asked for the state. Come to Borno State, the state where I'm from, and see how the governor has carefully piloted the state in such a way that even our countermeasure to the resurgence of insurgency in the state has clearly demonstrated the effectiveness of that governor. Need I talk about the agricultural intervention that the governor is providing? I am actually not here to start talking about state versus state because it would then take away my job description, which is to talk about what the federal government is doing, which the concomitant effect is seen in the states. And I'm sure you have very limited time. So before I say anything, you will say we'll finish. But I can tell you, as a federal government,
almost 20 minutes.
No, we haven't done up to 3 minutes.
So go on.
The federal government and the government of President Bwala Ahmed Tinubu has introduced policies that have affected the common man on the street. So, for example, when we talk about over 1 million beneficiaries of the NEL fund, these are not children of the rich. These are children of the poor who, but for the intervention in this regard, they may not have achieved or may not have the opportunity to go to achieve their dream. That is direct impact on the poor person. When we talk about in terms of transportation, what the CNG initiative has done, you need to go to the street, and we go to the street and talk to people. All they are asking is we need more investment in that field so we can have more of that production. But the direct effect is on the poor man. When we talk about healthcare, and we talk about the cesarean section I was here the other time I told you about, and I talk about 50% subsidy on dialysis. These are poor people because the rich people don't need that. As a matter of fact, most of them are abroad. So every policy introduced by this government, the direct beneficiaries are the poor. But you have asked a very valid question, and in my opinion, I responded very correctly. Because anytime a conversation is done around these things that we're talking about, people try to measure that in pari passu, ranking in pari passu the population. Because it's a large population, you have to look at that context and say, this is what we've been able to do. But if there were resources, take for example in the loan program, the NEL fund program, if we have enough resources, instead of boasting about over 1 million people that are direct beneficiaries, we'll be telling you 10 million people are beneficiaries. It's a program that is working. It's a program that has affected the lives of people.
Right. How much have you reduced poverty in Nigeria?
So this is where we then start to look at numbers. We then start looking at stats. And in your monologue, you try to say most Nigerians or many Nigerians are complaining that it is one thing to see the statistics and another to see the direct impact on the people.
To be honest with you, I have not heard any Nigerian on the level that you're talking about talking up the administration's achievements. I haven't heard.
But that is subjective. Because you can also bring people in your station on the table that will say they have heard.
That argument, but what we do, it's not a subjective thing. What we do, as I'm sure you understand the way journalism operates,
right,
is that you do random surveys. You go out on the street and you talk to people randomly,
Right.
from different backgrounds, different ethnicities, and so on. And all of them come to the same conclusion, that their lives have not actually improved. And the argument that most of them make, and it's not to sort of
Yeah, I understand.
try and talk down what
No,
you're
I understand,
saying.
but I have.
the argument they make is that the administration appears to be too focused on macroeconomic indicators. That's what you always see in the papers. This percent, that percent, inflation is coming, all kinds of things, and not focused enough on household economics.
I think that it is the
So you're
amplification.
celebrating
No.
numbers while citizens are counting their
See,
losses. And that's a fact.
I just, in the last 5 minutes, I just mentioned to you the effect of the policies on the poor. It's a matter of saying you disagree that there are 1 million people that have benefited. But that is what I put it to you about the poor people. So when I said it is a subjective reportage or subjective polling system, because we know how polling, what is the sample size, what is the margin of error? I can go out to the street and draft a polling system that I will make a conclusion and drive the narrative to the end.
You see
because there are, I'm coming, sir, there are other TV stations who have reported this type of random sampling in which a lot of Nigerians
which favors you. Basically.
No, a lot of Nigerians who, it's a mixed kind of result. There will always be frustration on people. And this government is not under the illusion that Nigerians are not suffering. What we are saying...
I'm glad you said that. Because
yes, I've always said that.
When people listen to some of this stuff, they feel almost insulted.
No, but I have always said
that you're ramming it down their throats, whilst a lot of the people in the administration are living large, driving fancy cars and traveling abroad and doing all kinds of things. I mean, it would be different if you said, okay, the president said, we're going to cut all this. And people feel everybody is either on the same level or approximately on the same. You see what I mean? It's that sense that you rub it in their faces. And the other thing is the issue of the differences, that how other problems in society cancel out whatever it is you're saying that you've achieved.
So let me give you an example.
The constant, steady lack of electricity, the constant problem of insecurity, where so many people can't even go to the school you're talking about.
Right. So let me give you a perspective, because I think that, again, perspective will matter in this sense. And I will beg you to give me a moment.
Of course.
The cliche, the rhyme, the rap, the stanza that is often driven in the media by the opposition and sometimes even by members of the press, because you echo and mirror what's happening. And if the opposition have spoken more than we have spoken, you mirror what they say. It's this same rhetoric. People are poor, people are this, people are
rhetoric.
That. No, I will come. That's why I say if you give me a moment, because if you cut the flow of thought, then it can carry a very different meaning to it. In 1960, Nigerians complained about hunger, deprivation, poverty, death, and healthcare problem. In 1970, Nigerians have made the same complaint. In 1983, Nigerians complained. In 1998, they did. In 1999, 2003, there has never been a moment since the creation of this country in which there was no complaint about either poverty, healthcare, and the rest.
Well, I beg to differ.
But let me finish. Sorry. There has never been that time. Yeah. So if I hear somebody saying this, that, or that, I am not perturbed by that. Now, but the point to be made is, I said, and it bears repeating, and I've been saying that since from the day I started speaking for this government, we acknowledge the fact that Nigerians are suffering. We have our own people that are suffering as well. But we focus on solution, and we communicate to the Nigerian people the effort we have made or we are making regarding that. And then urge the Nigerian people to be patient, have faith in government. We will glide through. That has been our consistent message. But oftentimes, it is taken out.
You want them to re-elect you and continue to wallow in their suffering.
Again, so
whilst you get around to fixing the problem whenever you finally
so you see,
get
you have
around.
taken a position already.
So
that means we are debating. You are not interviewing me. We are debating.
I am asking you a question.
And
it is a question.
So when I understand your question, but you don't understand my answer. But you don't understand my answer. You asked about direct effect on the poor. I mentioned that. Acknowledge. I mentioned in the area of healthcare,
Yeah, but
education.
I talked about the things that cancel out whatever it is you say you're doing.
Okay, then, if you said it cancels them out, my answer will be population. Now, for those who do economics and they understand planning, no matter the acumen, if the resources you have are so scarce that the population consumes
So why did you make the promises you made at the outset? I mean, there's been an APC government in power since 2015.
Right.
Okay.
I'm here to speak for President Bwala Tinubu.
I'm just telling you that there's been a consistent... Are you not a member of the APC?
Yes, I am. But if you want to speak about APC, you speak to the national chairman. I'm speaking about the policies of President Bwala Tinubu.
Government. Okay. When you go for re-election,
don't worry. When we get there, we know what to say.
What I'm saying, you're not just going there for President Tinubu. You're going there as a collective body of APC. Okay? That's the support that is given to the president.
I'm listening.
Now, you also talked about the 1960s and the 1970s. I mean, go and look at the quality of life and the standard of living and compare Nigeria to all the other approximate economies around the world and see how close it was to those economies. When you come to the 1970s, go and look at the standard of living of people, even after the Civil War. Look at what General Gowon did in this country. There was nobody who could say that they didn't feel it. Look at the Udoji payments in the 1970s.
You see, this is we call mischaracterization and misrepresentation of context.
Where people had the quality of life and the purchasing power of the naira was so powerful that virtually everybody in this country, or from a certain level, could easily just go and buy a vote.
Yes, but since you are interviewing me, let me respond. Since you are interviewing me, let me respond.
It's just that you're making
you even missed out the point I was saying. No. You missed it out. Look at your point. You talked about Nigerian people complaining about hunger, poverty, and the rest. The question is not standard of living. Complaining.
There's a difference between complaint and living.
But unfortunately, you said complaining.
Well,
so I'm responding to that. Except if you retract it, I'll be happy that you retract it.
Let's not waste time on semantics.
Good. So when you mentioned that, my response was, if it is the question of people are suffering, that has been the term since the creation of Nigeria. You switch again, far away from this context, and start talking about standard of living, which was not the basis for the conversation or for your question. So, if you ask a question,
you've just come back from the UK, where you go to regularly to go and chill out
with your money.
No,
am I not right? Am I not entitled to use my money?
No, I'm not saying it's my money.
But am I not? Was I not going to the UK before I was appointed?
No. What I'm saying, I actually met you in the UK.
Well, I am a resident of the United Kingdom.
But anyway, look, let me move on to something so we don't waste too much time.
Okay.
Sort of, this sort of back and forth pat ball.
And I hope that you will avoid that.
One of the administration's central promises was to improve security.
Right.
Not just, all the way from 2015 till the present. That was one of your central promises. Yet many communities across Nigeria continue to face worsening banditry, kidnappings, and violent attacks. Why is that?
Good. And I pray to the God of heaven, you will permit me to answer.
Please.
Right. So we talked about the situation of Nigeria, right? We talked about Nigeria bordering countries that lead up to Sahel. We talked about, and it's a fact that the world can tell, the influx of terrorists into this terrain. In the month of May alone, we acknowledge the fact that we have seen these activities of the insurgents, the bandits. And it is so unfortunate that it is happening at a time when we're close to the election, which you see most of this crisis economy thing. But we try to tell Nigeria, because there are individuals who are in the forest as we speak tonight. They lose their loved ones because they are dying in the forest so we can have a free life. And it will not be fair to our security forces in the bush, in desert, in towns, engaging with these terrorists for us to sit here and talk about no success is made or that.
But you're not giving them. We're not talking about them. We're talking about your policies. We're talking about your approach to security.
Okay,
we're talking about how you, as a government, deals with insecurity.
Okay, permit me one second.
I'm not talking about the soldiers.
Okay, permit.
If you go and look at those soldiers, they will say to you that they're not getting the equipment they need to do the job. They will say to you that the percentage of the budget that has been released for them to do their job is minuscule.
I'll be happy to answer when you come to me and say they said, not they will tell you. But let me not be distracted by that. In the month of May alone, listen, the joint airstrike between the Nigeria and US killed 175 terrorists in the northeast, and several foreign ISIS trainers from Iraq were allegedly among the people that were killed. 2 days later, there was a strike that also resulted in the killing.
Allegedly. Don't you know that? You're a government spokesman.
What I am saying the report. Airstrike reportedly neutralized about 176 terrorists. And please don't distract, because you will soon say time has gone. I want to, you see, this government is not, we are not being fair with the government. Okay.
Because
several foreign trainers from Iraq were allegedly killed, right?
Yeah.
Now, Borno strikes targeted ISWAP camp, logistic hub, weapons, their cache, financial networks, and the surrounding. Now, intelligence reports suggest that the disrupted terrorists are those we killed. That area was for training, drone operation, and command structures. Let me also say, the key leaders of the terrorists that were killed were Abu Bilal al-Munuki, Abu al-Wahab, Abu Musa al-Mangawi, Abu al-Mata. These are major people, and the clearance operation is still ongoing. Joint military operation had in Kay with the US 2 days later on the 30th of May also killed about 21 ISWAP. The camp were probably destroyed. The troops of the 12th Brigade of Nigerian Army rescued 23 kidnapped passengers in Kogi. The abduction occurred along blah, 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 blah. Then you see the number of the troops responded. You see the Toyota and the victims recovered. These people ran away. The troops of Operation Fazang Yamma rescued 31 kidnapped victims and neutralized 5 terrorists. 31 kidnapped victims were rescued. 5 terrorists were neutralized. You come back on the 19th of May in Edo security operation. Troops of 4th Brigade Nigerian Army arrested 12 suspected kidnappers and collaborators and drug operation kickpin. They were nabbed. Then you come back again, you see all suspects and recovered items were handed over to the police. Whilst we talk about the suffering, whilst we talk about the killings, while we talk about the kidnap also going on, we also as government deem it fit to bring to the Nigerian people.
Let me tell you
the progress that the Nigerian government and the President Bwala Ahmed Tinubu's late administration is making in this regard, as a way of encouraging them to know that government is doing its best, and we are going to put that one behind us.
Well, you didn't answer the question that I asked you. They're getting a tiny percentage of the budget they need to carry out.
The reason why I did not answer, because it wasn't a question. You say if you ask them. You say if you ask them.
Look, okay, let's just
you say if you ask them.
Let me say this. You've cited a lot of the elimination of terrorists and criminal leaders and so on. And we commend the Nigerian security
But do you emphasize it in the media? You don't.
Excuse me.
But you don't.
We do actually.
No, you don't.
We commend the fact that they do, that they've achieved those things. But many Nigerians judge security by a simple measure: whether they can travel safely on the roads and sleep peacefully at night. Whether many communities across the country continue to face worsening banditry, kidnappings, and violent attacks. I'll give you one simple example.
Okay.
In 2016, myself, my driver, and a cameraman, we took the car and drove from here all the way to Daura, to President Buhari's village, hometown, and drove all the way from Daura without any security, nothing, to Calabar in the southeast, stopping in different towns and doing reports from there. I would be insane to think of doing that.
In 2026, members of Arise TV have traveled from Abuja to Kaduna without being
Abuja to Kaduna is a very short.
But before,
it's a 2-hour
yes,
drive.
but before as
what about the rest of the country?
I'm coming. Before President Bola Tinubu came on board, you couldn't do that without serious security, because it's an every week affair. Yet in 2026, people have been traveling from Abuja to Maiduguri. People have been traveling from Abuja to Adamawa. People have been traveling.
Have you traveled from here to you're from Borno State?
I'm from Borno State.
Have you driven from here to Borno to Maiduguri?
Oh, I don't think the entirety of the interview today.
Well, I'm coming. You're from there. Do you feel secure?
I want to be very honest with you.
Right.
I don't think I was called on this interview to answer question. But to put words to me.
Oh, come
because each time I make the
Come
effort to
on.
answer, I'm coming. And I'm saying that because you're one of the most
come
prolific and respected, and I still maintain my respect.
Daniel.
But I'm saying that so that it doesn't happen tomorrow. When you called us to ask us questions, I beg you in the name of God to allow me to answer.
Well,
there will
okay.
always be follow-up. You can rebut it. We don't get that as the governing party. I have to say it clear to Nigerians.
Okay.
When members of the opposition come here, they have a field day without follow-up, without interrogation.
That's not fair.
There are times where
That
even
is
the
not
member,
fair.
I'm coming. There are times even members of the media do the opposition case for them instead of allowing them to come and put up the case for themselves.
Right.
Like me, you have never called me and I don't show up.
That is
But
true.
I hardly get the time to answer the question. That's a fact I have to say. I have never in any media platform raised that. Do you know why I'm raising it before you?
Why?
My respect for you. And I know that you will deal with this situation. There are places I won't say that. I will flow with the moment.
Somebody is texting me, calling it emotional blackmail.
No, look at the other day. Atiku came and got 1 hour. Peter Obi came and got 1 hour.
Atiku didn't get 1 hour. None of them got 1 hour.
But they got more than 30 minutes. I follow your program.
No. If you bring President Tinubu, who is their presidential candidate?
Yes, but
on their level, they competed against President. So bring President.
But if you tell,
we'll give him.
But if you tell me that coming to debunk the two of them will be within the period of 15 minutes, and you will allow me within that 15 minutes, I'll debunk it.
We didn't give you. We've given you half an hour.
No, it was not half an hour.
It is.
But let us proceed. It was not half an hour.
It is.
Look, I am making a request that because sometimes, let me be honest with you, Mr. Charles.
Yeah.
When a question is put forward, and the person who is being interviewed is unable to land in the flow of thoughts, and midway he's interjected. Sometimes what goes out of the media and becomes a breaking news is a totally mischaracterization of what happened.
Well,
I've seen that over time.
Yeah, but I'm sure you understand that you're somebody who's traveled a lot internationally.
Yeah.
I mean, I've heard you on the BBC, CNN, and all the rest of it. We give you actually much more time here than they would ever give you on any of those programs.
Is the nature of their program.
You're supposed to be.
Is the nature of their program. There was a time a program in Arise. There was a time morning show. They will be interviewing you for close to 3 hours. When they build up guests, then they started segmenting 20, 30. I'm a media person.
Anyway,
my first contact with you, if you remember, was in London.
Absolutely.
Many years ago on Arise TV, you interviewed me.
That is true.
So we've been around the block. And we're approaching election. It would not be nice that the governing party, just because there are situations for opposition want to take over government and the rest, I don't fear any question. Is the reason I went for Mehdi's program, even though I knew PDP at the time briefed him. So we don't fear.
Yeah.
The government of President
Tinubu,
the government of President Tinubu is transparent. If we are given the opportunity, I will give you not 1, 10, 20 of what we have done.
Okay.
But
you've spent a lot of time talking about the fact that you're not given an opportunity.
Because it's important.
Because you actually had the opportunity.
No,
you spend that. But now I have the rather
you will
sad,
ask question, we don't interject. When the minute we open our mouth to start answering
you that
questions,
we've run out of time.
I
Because I
don't
know
mind.
that's what you're going to say, but you took a lot of time to talk about the fact that you're not given.
So I have a special request to you, sir.
Yeah.
If you can, any time that you have convenient for you, you create time for this interview, bring up all the cases of the opposition and what is going on in Nigeria. But my request
How
is...
about if we have you debating a member of the opposition?
When the campaign starts, we'll do that. But before the campaign, I will not like that distraction.
Right.
But once the campaign starts, I'll be there. But whenever that time comes, I will appreciate when a question is put forward.
And when are you going to bring your principle? And not necessarily to this program, but to the media.
He's always talking to the media.
He's not always talking to the media.
He's always talking to the media.
Do you compare him to people like Donald Trump? How much Donald Trump constantly briefs the media. It doesn't matter what you say.
Do you want to interview President Bwala Tinubu?
Compare him to people like Cyril Ramaphosa in South Africa.
Do you want to interview President Bwala
I would
Tinubu?
be happy to interview them.
I will speak to him about it.
Very good.
Yes,
Daniel, I want to thank you very much indeed.
Thank
and
you,
we will hold you to that.
Don't worry.
Daniel Bwala is Special Advisor to the President on Media and Policy Communication. And we appreciate, as always, having you here.
Anytime, sir.
Thank you very much.
Anytime, sir.